as it pertains to the real understanding of hot and cold. What we must understand first is Laodicea and its location. When it comes to Laodicea, Laodicea is rich in resources. However, it does not have its own water supply. So, because Laodicea does not have its own water supply, it has no way of getting water on its own. So, it has to rely on its neighboring cities. Now, what are these neighboring cities? The first neighboring city we see is Colossae, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. And then we have Hierapolis, which is the second neighboring city. Now, Colossae is the city we're going to deal with first. Colossae, which is, if I'm not mistaken, in Colossians, and that's why we hear of it. But Colossae, that city, is the city that Laodicea relies on to get its cold water, and it actually pipes in cold water from that city. And as it pipes in this cold water, we know that the distance between Laodicea and Colossae is about 6 miles. So as they're pumping this cold water, because they look for cold water as a refreshment, that's why it's a good thing. When one is thirsty, they want cold water, because who's going to drink hot water on a day that is hot, right? It's just not going to make sense. So those of Laodicea are piping in this cold water back to their city so that they can have drinking water, so that they can be refreshed. However, the distance is important because we know that it takes 6 miles for that water to be piped in to travel back to Laodicea and finally, upon its arrival, end up in Laodicea. But once it gets back to Laodicea, since it's taken this travel of 6 miles, it becomes lukewarm and it's no longer good for drinking, right? Because if you drink that water, especially on a hot day, just like Jesus says, you're going to spit it out. It's disgusting. You don't want that. It's not refreshing. Now, second, let's talk about Hierapolis. Hierapolis is where Laodicea finds its source of hot water. And the same being said with Colossae, Laodicea relies upon Hierapolis to pump in its hot water. And as it pumps in this hot water back to Laodicea, it takes 11 miles. Now, hot water was used for medicinal purposes around this time. So it was also good, right? But as those of Laodicea would pipe in the hot water back to Laodicea, it would take 11 miles to travel. And upon its arrival, it would arrive lukewarm.